Entrepreneurial Edge is brought to you by Business Banking from FNB, because small ideas can lead to big business. FNB, how can we help you?
Welcome back to the Entrepreneurial Edge. I'm Chris Bishop. Now, if you have any comments or suggestions, please drop me an email at ontrep@cnbcafrica.com. Now, still in the studio with me is Jeremy Stewart. He's talking from our Cape Town bureau. And right next to me here, I have Andrew Merrington. Now, they're both co-founders of Source Interior Brand Architects, the company that designs the interiors of hotels across Africa. So if I could just go to you, Jeremy, in Cape Town. In this terrible recession, the hotel industry has been hit pretty badly. How has your company tried to ride out these difficult times?
Well, I think people generally look at design as very much about being aesthetic-led, about making things look beautiful, ergonomic. But design is a far more complex and more creative tool than that. We can design creatively to save our clients, developers and operators a lot of money. So how we specify how we spend the money is critical, and also what we specify to make the hotel run a lot cheaper. The types of taps and sort of things that you specify in a hotel over a 10-year period has a huge impact on the water usage. Same with light fittings, globes, electricity, that sort of thing. So the way we like to think of it is we help our clients sort of spend their money very wisely and spend it where it counts. So it's very much return on investment, and that's the part of design that a lot of people don't necessarily appreciate, other than the obvious visual aesthetic. So that's what really makes it interesting. It's not just about look and feel.
Tell me something, Andrew, as a creative, how difficult can it make you when you know that the budget is not half as big as it was last year, when you're trying to please the people who are building hotels?
I think that's the challenge. I was brought up with a quantity surveyor as a father. So as a student, I always had him looking over my shoulder. So I've always been aware of costs. And having a retail background as well, certainly retail, when you're doing stores, it's about return per square meter, maximizing space. So I think that the challenge and where the true designer comes out is how best you can use budget. How you can rob Peter to pay Paul. We had classic example on one hotel where if you're mirroring put a mirror up in a bathroom, why put a tile behind it? So it's been conscious of the finishes, what and where, and boxing clever, and also putting it in the area where the guest experience is. So in the back of house area, you can cut down on costs. Some of the other darker areas of the hotel. To be able to play with that budget and put it where the guest experience is.
And speaking about budgets, Jeremy, in Cape Town, how difficult has it been to secure finance for these big hotel projects, and also for your work during these difficult times?
Well, I think that's where the real problem is there's no shortage of people that want to develop projects, whether they're hotels, offices. There's a whole string of developments that are waiting to happen out there. The problem is the list of people with funding or who want to fund them is a hell of a lot shorter. And that's where the problems for everyone lie. Like, if we looked at our potential pipeline of work, we've got masses of projects just waiting to happen. But the problem is finding the funding available. And that's the current problem in the hospitality industry in South Africa, less so in West and East Africa, and that's where we've seen the growth. In the corporate market, it's not just hotels we're involved in. In the corporate market, we're having a lot of multinationals coming into Africa and wanting satellite offices, whether it's in Lagos, in Nairobi, in Lusaka, Luanda, and we're tending to do a lot of that type of work. So, Africa is almost a simple phenomena in the sense that everyone's following the oil, minerals, agriculture, and so it generally starts with prospecting, whether it's for oil, copper, mining, of sort of new fields open. Then the mines themselves go in and do housing. We often get involved in the mining houses and do some of their executive offices. We've currently got a project like that in Lusaka that our Johannesburg studio is busy with. And then, the hotels start coming, the retail, people need entertainment, and that's really how the growth happens. And we are obviously involved in various levels of those markets, which is exciting. So we've seen the growth now in West Africa and East Africa, and we really in South Africa we just really retaining our client base and retaining our market share, but see the growth, the immediate growth over the next 5 to 10 years in Africa, and that's really for us where our market is.
So back to you in the studio here, Andrew. I mean, you've expanded, as we've just broken the subject here, right across Africa: Angola, Sierra Leone, DRC, Mali, Nigeria. What, as a creative, was the most challenging or difficult assignment that you've ever had on your travels across the African continent?
I would say the first one is going into Freetown in Sierra Leone, particularly after the coup. Sort of arriving there, and I think that if you're not an intrepid traveller into Africa, I mean, for me that was really an eye-opener. So seeing a building that that was an original hotel that had been taken out, I believe, by RPGs. This roared shell, and I mean, and it was a UN base during the time of the coup or after the coup, and I think that was quite daunting. Is how to turn something into an oasis in sort of a poverty-stricken area. So I say that it was a harsh reality. It's how to turn something, and then to be able to look at what can you source locally. And then also to deal with your client on this hand.
Sounds like you've lived life out there. Go to you, Jeremy. I mean, you're a man with focused firmly on the books. What difficulties can there be financially in doing business in Africa? Just to give you an example of a businessman I ran into in Lagos once, and he said things can be very difficult getting money out of people sometimes, but if people want things here, they'll walk into your office and they'll put US dollars in cash and say, right, give me now. How much does that ring true, you think, in the people that you're dealing with across the continent?
Well, it varies. I think to generalize, I think it's unfair to generalize Africa in any particular way. Currently, one of our best paying and fastest paying clients is in Bamako in Mali. And they pay us 7 days from invoice, which is, I don't get that in South Africa. So
there's probably entrepreneurs who don't get that in the world, but carry on.
But generally speaking, as designers, the people in Africa is a lot about trade, and people pay when they have a commodity in their hand. Our problem is our commodity is intellectual, and it's design. It's in cyberspace. It's on drawings, and we do our work, most of our work, before the building actually gets built or the design gets realized. So for a lot of people, it's quite a battle to pay in their minds to pay for something they haven't received, and that is the challenge. In Africa, a lot of hotels are being developed by first-time developers or first-time hotel developers, and it takes a while for them to realize the importance of a consultancy service that is pretty much up front. But generally speaking, we use the simple philosophy of the car doesn't go until you put petrol in it. That's pretty much a very basic but sound advice.
But probably all entrepreneurs should have that on the wall, I think, and not just those in the motor industry. But one thing I want to ask you, Andrew, here, as the creative, I mean, one of the big boom industries at the moment, I mean, we ran a story on one of our shows recently talking about green design. The place where, like, rooms, they change, the temperature changes depending on how many people are there, rooms that breathe, they monitor their own things. Do you have to incorporate all this in your designs?
I think green is very much there. Whether it's in hotels, we're finding the tour operators are dictating a lot, but I think it's an upfront cost, and it's the question one's got to ask is that from a development point of view, if you're going to sell on straight away, is that cost viable? Often it's not. So it's a mindset, and it's great to see that green building, there are a lot more stringent parameters being set in place now. We've got an earth to preserve, water, power. How can we reuse that in the hotel? So there's space for it, and it's going to increase the bottom line and have a better earth.
Bottom line, we're back to you, Jeremy, again in Cape Town. One question we always ask our entrepreneurs on this show. I mean, do you have entrepreneurs in your family? I mean, do you think they're born or do you think they're made?
I think they are generally made. Everyone in my family were pretty much corporate salaried people. My father, I think it was just really myself and my younger sister, well, she's older than me but younger out of the two sisters, were essentially the entrepreneurs. And you see it. I mean, we employ a lot of people, and being creative and good at what you do doesn't necessarily make you an entrepreneur. And as Andrew said, our business is not made up of myself and Andrew. We've got 4 partners, myself and Yvonne down here in Cape Town, Andrew and Peter Bank up in Johannesburg, and then we've got our team. So it's very much, our business is very much about a collective as opposed to any individuals. I guess, as Andrew said, we all have different roles. I'm sort of get involved in every aspect of the business, from creative, from strategy on the business side, and we're just really forced that way. And you've kind of said to me, implied that I'm the sort of the more the money person, and it's not really like that. It's we're all creative, and I think so when I'm involved in the financial and the business side of things, is I try to do that creatively. Yeah. The strategy of our business, we do it all in a creative way. So creativity is across the board, and the entrepreneurial spirit, I think, is in all of us to various degrees, and it's very much in our business, very much about a collective effort, not just the partners but the studio, and we've got a fantastic bunch of guys, which makes it a hell of a lot more fun and enjoyable through the good and the bad.
Well, hopefully you can have plenty of perhaps the former but not the latter in the years to come. Thank you very much, Jeremy Stewart, co-founder of Source Interior Brand Architects, for your time from our Cape Town office, and thank you very much, Andrew Merrington, for being here, also co-founder in the studio. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for. That's the end of this episode of the Entrepreneurial Edge. Make sure you tune in next week when we chat to the founder of Internet Solutions, Ronnie Apteker. Until then, from myself, Chris Bishop, it's goodbye.